If you're over 60, one of your most cherished daily habits, a habit you believe is keeping you sharp and healthy, could be quietly erasing your most precious memories. It doesn't happen overnight with a sudden collapse. It happens gradually, silently, with no warning and no pain. It starts with misplacing your keys more often. Then you forget a grandchild's birthday. Soon you find yourself standing in a room, unable to remember why you walked in. You go to bed feeling fine, but with each passing day, the fog gets a little thicker, the names get a little harder to recall, and the world feels a little less familiar. As a brain doctor, I've seen this slow, heartbreaking fade in far too many patients. They come to me terrified, watching their own identity slip away. And the most tragic part? Their cognitive decline wasn't caused by a lack of effort. It wasn't from watching too much TV or eating junk food. It was triggered by the very healthy routines they swore by. Yes, healthy habits. Every day, millions of seniors diligently follow advice they've read in magazines or heard on the news, believing they are protecting their brain. And while many habits are beneficial, some, especially for the aging brain, can secretly backfire. They create chronic inflammation, starve your brain of essential nutrients, or lock it into rigid patterns that prevent new connections from forming. And the scariest part, no one ever warns you. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 common healthy habits that could be accelerating your memory loss, brain fog, and risk of dementia, especially if you're over 60. Have you ever wondered if your disciplined routine might be doing more harm than good? If so, you need to hear this, and I promise it might just save your mind. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health insight designed to help you thrive in your later years. If you enjoy this video and find it valuable, type the number 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can create better content for you. Your feedback is my guide. 1. Waking up to a jarring alarm clock. The cortisol shock. As a neurologist, I've spent my career studying the delicate chemistry of the brain, and few things are more disruptive to that chemistry than a sudden, violent awakening. Yet for millions, this is how every single day begins. The blaring, high-pitched screech of an alarm clock. You've been told it's a sign of discipline, a way to start your day on time. But for an aging brain, it's like a daily lightning strike. For a young person in their 20s or 30s, the body can handle this shock. But after 60, your adrenal system and your brain's stress response are far more sensitive. When that alarm shrieks, your body doesn't just wake up. It floods your system with cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Think of it as a panic signal. This cortisol spike first thing in the morning, day after day, year after year, creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your body and most critically, inside your brain. This neuroinflammation is a silent killer of memory. It damages the hippocampus, the brain's memory-making center, and weakens the blood-brain barrier, allowing toxins to seep in. It's like starting a small fire in your brain every morning. At first, you don't notice the damage, but over time, the charred remains are your lost memories. I'll never forget a patient of mine, Mrs. Eleanor Vance, 74, a retired librarian from Vermont. She was the epitome of discipline. Her alarm was set for 6 a.m. sharp every day, a jarring buzzer she'd used for 40 years. She prided herself on her sharp mind and organized life, but she came to me because she was terrified. She couldn't remember the plots of the books she'd just read. She'd forget her neighbors' names. At the grocery store, she'd stare at her list, unable to connect the words to the items. Her scans didn't show a stroke or a tumor, but her blood work revealed chronically elevated cortisol levels, a classic sign of long-term stress. Her routine, meant to keep her sharp, was actually poisoning her brain with stress hormones every single morning. The jarring alarm was the trigger. She had no idea that her symbol of discipline was the very thing unraveling her mind. Here's what most seniors are never told. A gentle awakening is not a luxury, it's a neurological necessity. The sudden shock of a loud alarm is an attack on your brain's delicate balance. Over time, that daily jolt contributes to the very cognitive decline you're trying to prevent. So, what should you do if you're over 60? Ditch the jarring alarm. Switch to a sunrise alarm clock that gradually brightens the room, mimicking a natural dawn. Or use an app that starts with soft, gentle sounds like birds chirping or chimes and slowly increases in volume. Allow your body to transition from sleep to wakefulness peacefully. Your brain needs calm, not chaos, to start the day. Because here's the truth. How you wake up sets the stage for your brain's health for the rest of the day. And if this habit shocked you, wait until you hear what that healthy glass of cold water you drink right after is doing to your brain's blood supply. What I'm about to tell you in the next section will change your morning routine forever. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move on to point number 2. 2. Gulping a large glass of ice-cold water first thing. The vagus nerve shock. It's one of the most common pieces of health advice on the planet. Start your day with a big glass of water to rehydrate and kickstart your metabolism. It sounds so logical, so pure. Many of my older patients are incredibly proud of this habit, reaching for a tall glass of ice-cold water before their feet even hit the floor. But what if I told you that for an aging nervous system, this seemingly virtuous act can be a profound shock that restricts blood flow to the brain at the most critical time of the day? The danger lies in the temperature and the speed. Gulping down a large volume of ice-cold liquid on an empty stomach sends a shockwave through your internal organs and, most importantly, stimulates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the superhighway of your nervous system, connecting your brain to your gut, heart, and lungs. When you suddenly shock it with cold, it can trigger a vasovagal response. In a younger person, this might cause a brief moment of lightheadedness, but in a senior, whose blood vessels are less flexible and whose blood pressure is often more volatile, the effect can be much more severe. The vagus nerve overreacts, causing a sudden drop in heart rate and blood pressure. This is called bradycardia and hypotension. In that moment, the blood flow to your brain is significantly reduced. You may not faint, you might just feel a little dizzy for a second, but you are momentarily starving your brain of oxygen. Doing this day after day, week after week, creates a pattern of morning hypoxia, a subtle, repeated oxygen deprivation that damages delicate neurons. It contributes to that feeling of brain fog and, over the long term, accelerates the death of brain cells in areas responsible for memory and executive function. Let me tell you about Mr. Arthur Jenkins, 78, a retired engineer from Arizona. He was meticulous about his health. Every morning he'd drink a 16-ounce glass of iced water straight from the fridge. He'd read it was good for him. But for months, he'd been complaining to his wife about a persistent fuzziness in his head every morning, a feeling that took him hours to shake. He was becoming more forgetful, struggling with the morning crossword puzzle he once breezed through. He came to see me after a particularly bad spell of vertigo, where he nearly fell in his kitchen. We ran a series of tests, including a 24-hour heart monitor. What we found was startling. Every morning, around 7:05 a.m., just after he drank his water, his heart rate would plummet for a few minutes. He was having a mini vasovagal episode every single day, and it was temporarily reducing blood flow to his brain. His healthy habit was the direct cause of his morning brain fog and was contributing to his cognitive decline. Here's what I want you to understand. Your body after 60 craves balance and gentleness, not shocks. The internal systems are working harder to maintain equilibrium. A sudden cold plunge internally is as stressful as a sudden loud noise externally. So what's the takeaway? Hydration is crucial, but the method matters. Start your day with room temperature or warm water. Sip it slowly over the course of 5-10 minutes. You can add a squeeze of lemon for flavor and gentle detoxification. This allows your body to absorb the fluid without shocking the vagus nerve or causing a sudden drop in blood pressure. You give your brain the hydration it needs without the dangerous oxygen dip. Because even something as simple as water can become a weapon against your memory if used incorrectly. And speaking of morning routines, there's another healthy habit many seniors practice with religious devotion, doing the same exact brain training puzzle every single day. What I'm about to reveal about that will challenge everything you think you know about keeping your mind sharp. 3. Doing the same brain game every day. The efficiency trap. Crossword puzzles, Sudoku, word searches. For years, seniors have been told that these daily brain games are the key to a sharp mind, the ultimate weapon against cognitive decline. It feels productive, like you're taking your brain to the gym. You get better, you get faster, and you feel a sense of accomplishment. But what if I told you that this repetitive mental exercise, after a certain point, stops building your brain and starts making it lazy? As a neurologist, I see this all the time. It's called the efficiency trap. When you first learn a new skill, like Sudoku, your brain works hard. It forges new neural pathways, fires up different regions, and builds cognitive muscle. It's challenging and highly beneficial. But once you master it, something changes. Your brain, being the incredibly efficient organ it is, automates the process. It creates a super fast, low-energy mental shortcut for that specific task. You're no longer building new roads, you're just driving down the same familiar highway faster and faster. The problem? While you're strengthening that one narrow pathway, your brain begins to prune away the less used connections. It's a use it or lose it system. By focusing on the same puzzle day after day, you're telling your brain that this one skill is important, and others like creative problem solving, learning a new language, or navigating a new place are not. Your brain becomes a one-trick pony, highly skilled at Sudoku, but less resilient, less flexible, and less able to adapt to novel challenges, which is the true marker of a healthy, youthful mind. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, Mrs. Helen Croft, 80, a retired accountant from Florida. She was the queen of the daily crossword puzzle. She could finish the New York Times puzzle in record time and was immensely proud of it. But she came to me in a panic because while her vocabulary was razor sharp, she couldn't figure out how to use the new remote control for her TV. She got lost driving to a friend's house in a neighborhood she'd visited before. Her ability to solve novel, real-world problems was deteriorating, even as her crossword skills were peaking. Her brain had become over-specialized. The mental muscles for navigating, adapting, and learning new systems were atrophying from disuse. Her daily brain gym had ironically made her brain less fit for the complexities of everyday life. She was stuck in the efficiency trap, and it was shrinking her world. Here's the truth about brain health after 60. The key is not repetition, it's novelty. Your brain thrives on new and varied challenges. It needs to be surprised, confused, and even a little frustrated to keep building new connections. So, what's the solution? Don't abandon your favorite puzzle, but treat it as a warm-up, not the whole workout. Dedicate just 15 to 20 minutes a day to something genuinely new. Try learning a few words in a new language with an app like Duolingo. Watch a documentary on a topic you know nothing about. Try to assemble a piece of furniture without looking at the instructions right away. Take a different route on your daily walk. These novel activities force your brain to get off the highway and start building new roads again. That is what keeps you truly sharp. If this insight has changed your view on brain training, wait until we discuss the popular diet that for decades was hailed as heart healthy, but may have been silently starving your brain of its most essential building block. If you're still with me, please type 1 in the comments. Let's move to point 4. 4. Adhering to a strict low-fat diet, starving your brain. For the better part of 50 years, we were all told the same thing. Fat is the enemy. Low-fat yogurt, skim milk, fat-free salad dressing, an entire industry was built on the idea that cutting fat was the key to a healthy heart and a long life. Many seniors, having grown up with this advice, are still incredibly diligent about avoiding fat, believing it's the responsible, healthy choice. But as a brain doctor, I must tell you this is one of the most damaging nutritional myths of the past century, and it has had devastating consequences for cognitive health. Here is a fact that cannot be ignored. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. It is the fattiest organ in your body. The protective sheath around every one of your neurons, called the myelin sheath, is made of fat. The membranes of your brain cells are made of fat. Fat is not just fuel for your brain. It is the physical structure. It is the bricks and mortar of your mind. When you adopt a strict low-fat diet, you are, quite literally, starving your brain of the raw materials it needs to repair itself, build new connections, and maintain its structural integrity. It's like trying to maintain a brick house by refusing to buy any more bricks. Over time, the structure weakens, cracks appear, and eventually it begins to crumble. The most critical fats for the brain are omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA. Your body can't make it efficiently, so you must get it from your diet. When your diet is deficient in these healthy fats, your brain will use whatever is available, including lower quality fats, to build and repair its cells. This results in cell membranes that are less flexible and more brittle, impairing their ability to send and receive signals. This is the biological underpinning of brain fog, slow thinking, and memory loss. I remember Mr. George Patterson, 82, a retired school principal from Oregon. He was a heart attack survivor from the 1980s and had followed a strict, low-fat diet ever since. He was proud of his discipline, but his family brought him to me because his memory was failing badly. He was becoming apathetic, losing his quick wit, and seemed to be in a constant state of confusion. His family was terrified it was Alzheimer's. We did a full workup, including a nutritional panel. His cholesterol was very low, which he saw as a victory, but his levels of omega-3s were critically deficient. His brain was, in essence, malnourished. For 30 years, in an effort to protect his heart, he had been systematically depriving his brain of its most essential nutrient. He wasn't developing Alzheimer's. He was suffering from a severe fat-deficient cognitive impairment. The advice he followed so faithfully was based on outdated, incomplete science that failed to distinguish between unhealthy trans fats and the essential healthy fats your brain and body need to thrive. So, what is the right approach for someone over 60? Embrace healthy fats. Do not fear them. This includes avocados, extra virgin olive oil, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, and especially fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and sardines, which are packed with DHA. A strict low-fat diet is not brain healthy. A smart fat diet is. By giving your brain the right building blocks, you give it the power to stay strong, flexible, and resilient. And if you think a low-fat diet is the only healthy habit that backfires, wait until you hear about the social advice that could be causing more stress than connection for half the senior population. 5. Forcing social interaction when you're an introvert. The social stress overload. Stay socially active. It's a mantra for healthy aging. Join a club, volunteer, go to every family gathering, attend community events. The advice is well-intentioned, based on solid research that shows social connection is vital for cognitive health. But this one-size-fits-all approach ignores a fundamental aspect of human nature: introversion and extroversion. Forcing an introvert to socialize like an extrovert is not healthy. It's a recipe for chronic stress that can be just as damaging to the brain as loneliness itself. Here's the neurological difference. Extroverts have a less sensitive dopamine reward system. They require more external stimulation, more people, more activity, more chatter, to get that feel-good hit of dopamine. For them, a busy social event is energizing. Introverts are the opposite. Their dopamine system is highly sensitive. A small amount of meaningful interaction provides plenty of reward. Large crowds, small talk, and constant engagement don't energize them. It overwhelms their system, leading to a state of exhaustion and, critically, a massive cortisol spike. For an older introvert, being pressured to attend a noisy, 3-hour bingo night or a crowded family party can be incredibly stressful. While they may put on a smile, their brain is in overdrive, processing an overwhelming amount of sensory input. This isn't healthy stimulation, it's a neurological assault. The resulting cortisol surge, if it happens regularly, contributes to the same brain inflammation and hippocampus damage we discussed earlier. It literally wears the brain down. I had a patient, Mrs. Susan Miller, 72, a retired writer who lived in a vibrant senior community. The community director, meaning well, constantly encouraged her to join the daily card games, the weekly mixers, and the bus trips. Susan, not wanting to seem rude or antisocial, would force herself to go. She would come back to her apartment feeling utterly drained, irritable, and with a social hangover that lasted for hours. She came to me complaining of worsening memory and an inability to focus on her writing. She felt a constant low-level anxiety she couldn't shake. It became clear that she was suffering from social exhaustion. She was an introvert being forced into an extrovert's lifestyle. Her healthy social life was the primary source of her chronic stress. We worked on a new strategy. She resigned from 2 of the noisy clubs and instead invited 1 or 2 friends she genuinely connected with for a quiet cup of tea in her apartment once a week. She re-engaged with her passion for writing. The change was remarkable. Within 2 months, her anxiety subsided, her focus returned, and her memory felt sharper. She was still social, but on her own terms. The lesson here is critical. For brain health, the quality of social interaction is far more important than the quantity. If you are an introvert, honor your nature. Seek out deep one-on-one connections. Engage in quiet, shared activities. A meaningful conversation with one friend is neurologically superior to a stressful hour of small talk with 20 acquaintances. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting your energy. A peaceful brain is a healthy brain. Now, if that gave you a new perspective on social health, the next point will address a habit of physical health that has become an obsession in modern society, but may be weakening your brain's second command center. If you are finding value in this, please comment 1 below. Let's move to point 6. 6. Over-sanitizing and avoiding dirt, starving the second brain. In our modern world, we are obsessed with cleanliness. Hand sanitizers are everywhere. We use antibacterial wipes on our counters, we scrub our vegetables, and we teach our children that dirt is dirty. This hyper-hygienic lifestyle, born from a desire to avoid disease, seems like the ultimate healthy habit. But as a neurologist focused on the whole body system, I can tell you this obsession with sterility is silently damaging your brain by destroying the health of your second brain, your gut. The gut-brain axis is one of the most exciting fields in neuroscience. We now know that the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, your gut microbiome, are in constant communication with your brain. This microbiome produces neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, regulates inflammation, and is fundamental to a healthy immune system. A diverse, thriving microbiome is essential for a sharp, stable, and healthy mind. When you live in an overly sanitized environment, you starve your microbiome of the diverse inputs it needs to thrive. You're not just killing bad germs, you're killing the good bacteria too. Every time you use hand sanitizer, you wipe out the beneficial microbes you pick up from the natural world. By avoiding all contact with soil and nature, you prevent your gut from being populated with the rich diversity of organisms it evolved to expect. This leads to a condition called dysbiosis, an imbalance in your gut flora. A less diverse microbiome becomes an inflamed microbiome, and that inflammation doesn't stay in the gut. It sends inflammatory signals up the vagus nerve directly to your brain, contributing to neuroinflammation, brain fog, anxiety, and an increased risk of long-term cognitive decline. You are, in effect, sanitizing away your own mental clarity. I recall a patient, Mr. Frank Bellini, 76, a retired accountant who was a self-proclaimed germaphobe. His home was immaculate. He sanitized his hands 12 times a day and was proud that he hadn't had a cold in years. Yet he came to my office with a constellation of symptoms: persistent brain fog, low mood, and memory lapses that frightened him. His diet was decent, he exercised moderately, but his mind felt cloudy. We ran a comprehensive gut microbiome analysis, a test that is becoming more common in functional neurology. His results were stark. He had extremely low microbial diversity. His gut was like a barren field, dominated by a few hardy species, but lacking the rich ecosystem needed for health. His immune markers showed chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation originating from his gut. His obsession with cleanliness was inflaming his body and his brain. The prescription wasn't a pill, it was a lifestyle change. I advised him to stop using hand sanitizer unless absolutely necessary and switch to plain soap and water. I prescribed him 30 minutes of gardening a day, telling him to get his hands in the soil. I had him add a wide variety of fiber-rich plants to his diet and a high-quality probiotic. It took time, but after 6 months, the change was profound. His brain fog lifted, his mood improved, and his memory felt more reliable. By repopulating his second brain, he had healed his first. So what's the lesson? Don't be afraid of a little dirt. Spend time in nature, open your windows, eat a wide variety of plants to feed a wide variety of good bacteria. A healthy brain isn't a sterile brain. It's a brain that is connected to a rich, diverse, and thriving inner ecosystem. And if that makes you rethink the nature of health, our final point addresses the one thing everyone does in the name of health, but if done wrong, it can lock in the day's stress and prevent the brain from cleaning itself at night. 7. Intense exercise too late in the evening. Blocking your brain's janitors. We all know exercise is a cornerstone of brain health. It boosts blood flow, grows new brain cells, and lifts our mood. Many seniors, especially those who are busy during the day, try to fit in their workout in the evening. A brisk walk after dinner, a session on the stationary bike while watching the news. It feels like a responsible, healthy choice to end the day. But what if I told you that intense exercise performed too close to bedtime can sabotage the most critical, memory-enhancing process that happens all day? Your sleep. The problem is again about timing and hormones. Strenuous exercise is a stressor on the body, a good stressor, but a stressor nonetheless. It raises your core body temperature, increases your heart rate, and most importantly, elevates levels of cortisol and adrenaline. These are daytime hormones. They are designed to make you alert, focused, and ready for action. They are the complete opposite of the hormones you need for deep, restorative sleep like melatonin. When you exercise vigorously within 3 hours of bedtime, you are essentially revving your engine right when you need to be putting the car in the garage. Your body temperature stays high, your mind remains alert, and you prevent your brain from descending into the deep stages of non-REM sleep. And this is where the memory damage occurs. During deep sleep, your brain activates its own dedicated cleaning crew known as the glymphatic system. Brain cells shrink slightly, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow through and wash away the metabolic waste and toxic proteins that accumulate during the day, including beta amyloid, the plaque associated with Alzheimer's disease. This is your brain's nightly self-clean. If you disrupt deep sleep, you are essentially telling the janitors to go home early. The trash builds up, night after night. I once treated Mrs. Patricia Davies, 69, a retired nurse who was fiercely dedicated to her health. She had a busy schedule volunteering and helping with her grandkids, so her only time to exercise was from 8 to 9 p.m. on her treadmill. She'd do a high-intensity interval workout she'd read was best for her heart. She came to me because she was exhausted but wired at night and woke up feeling unrefreshed, with a foggy memory that was getting worse. She couldn't understand it. She was doing everything right. Her sleep study told the story. She was getting plenty of light sleep, but she was barely entering the deep, restorative stages. Her brain wasn't getting the chance to clean and consolidate memories. Her evening workout, intended to protect her, was actively preventing her brain from performing its most essential nightly maintenance. The healthy habit was the root cause of her memory fog and fatigue. The solution was simple. We moved her main workout to the morning to work with her body's natural cortisol rhythm. In the evening, we replaced it with a gentle, restorative activity, a slow, mindful walk or some light stretching. The effect was almost immediate. She began sleeping more deeply, waking up feeling refreshed, and within a month, her brain fog had lifted significantly. So, if you're over 60, think of exercise as a morning or afternoon activity. Keep your evenings for winding down. A calm walk after dinner is fine, but save the heart-pounding, sweaty workouts for earlier in the day. Your brain's nightly cleaning crew depends on it. Protecting your memory isn't just about what you do when you're awake. It's about allowing your brain to do its sacred work while you sleep. Final reflection: the wisdom of gentle habits. After walking through these 7 seemingly healthy habits that can silently damage your memory, you might feel a sense of frustration. It can feel like the rules are always changing, that what was once good is now bad. But this isn't about a new set of rigid rules. It's about a shift in mindset. It's about trading intensity for consistency, shock for gentleness, and rigid discipline for wise adaptability. Aging is not a disease. It is a different chapter with different needs. Your body is no longer a machine that can be pushed and shocked into submission. It is a complex, delicate ecosystem that thrives on balance, rhythm, and calm. The habits that served you in your 40s may not serve you now. The path to a sharp, vibrant mind after 60 is not paved with more effort, but with more awareness. It's about respecting the quiet signals your body sends you. The morning fog, the afternoon slump, the social exhaustion. These are not signs of weakness. They are messages. They are your body's way of asking for a different approach. But here is the empowering news. The right habits can be profoundly healing. You have the power, starting today, to create a routine that nourishes and protects your brain. So what does a brain-healthy routine look like? First, wake gently. Allow your body to greet the day with calm, not cortisol. Second, hydrate warmly. Sip room temperature water to nourish your system without shocking it. Third, embrace novelty. Challenge your brain with new and varied activities, not just the same old puzzle. Fourth, eat smart fats. Feed your brain the avocados, olive oil, nuts, and fatty fish it needs to stay structurally sound. Fifth, socialize wisely. Honor your energy and seek quality connection over forced quantity. Sixth, get a little dirty. Connect with nature and support the gut-brain axis that is the foundation of your mental health. And seventh, move early, rest deeply. Align your exercise with your body's natural rhythm to ensure your brain gets the restorative sleep it needs to clean and repair itself. This is not about fear. It is about evolving with grace. It's about listening with a new level of respect to the body that has carried you through a lifetime of experiences. You've earned this wisdom. Don't let outdated advice or the no pain, no gain mentality rob you of your cognitive vitality. You are not just trying to live longer. You are striving to live more fully, to keep your memories, your wit, and your unique self intact. And with the right knowledge and a gentler approach, you absolutely can. Your brain is listening. Feed it the future it deserves. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means the world to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching.